Hey guys, welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect, and today we are going to be diving in to some more NuclearCraft. So, I hope you guys are ready. So today we're going to be diving into NuclearCraft, and I don't know too much about the mod. I have kind of dabbled in it just a little bit here and there, but we do have auto crafting set up for most of the NuclearCraft stuff. And when I say we have the auto crafting, I mean we have a lot of the auto crafting done. I'm literally right now, I just made the pattern for our fusion reactor casings and things like that. And then we have the plates. Everything that it takes to get to this point is automated. So if we wanted to make that, we could do it. We have tough alloy automated. We have a graphite dust automated. I mean, things are looking pretty good. We have uranium. We have all of these things working. Now, uranium, I do want to check down here just to make sure that our pigs for uranium are still working like they're supposed to. They should be over here somewhere. I do have a couple sets of them. I just want to make sure that they are functioning properly. I think so. They should be 4 pigs apiece in there. It just looks like they're not, but they are. There are definitely 4 pigs in there. So yeah, that's working. I mean, that's probably why we have as much as we have. So let's try and make some reactors. I think that what I might do is put the reactor inside of a tiny machine, or we'll actually we'll build it outside, right? And we'll get it working, and then we'll build a tiny machine for it. So reactor cases, we're probably going to need like, I don't know, at least 64 of these to just get things started. And hopefully we can craft those pretty quickly. Yeah, like 64 is nothing for this. It looks like we have to get things processed. So it's good. So it's hitting a point where it's got to actually craft things. And yeah, it's going to work. So as that's working, we need to kind of look at the things that we're going to need. So with NuclearCraft, we are going to need a reactor or fusion controller. This thing right here is a little bit complicated. We need the nuclear furnace. We need some advanced stuff, some good old fancy things. These would just require tough alloy, and the tough alloy is going to take a little bit of time to make. For the most part, I think we have everything else ready to go. That's done processing now. So let's go ahead and work on making this thing. Tough alloy, this requires, what is that? Magnesium, diboride alloy. So that's going to require magnesium and boron. So magnesium, actually we just do NuclearCraft, magnesium and boron. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that. That is something that wasn't prepared to make, but that's fine. We can just throw it inside one of these and just let it run. Maybe half the recipe, and we'll do it in both. And that'll fly through that pretty quick. I don't think we need much of this. It's not an easy, even recipe, so we got to watch this. I don't want this to be clogged in any way. Because if this gets clogged, then we can't do autocraft from this anymore. Alright, so that seems to be all we can pull from that. Alright, perfect. Let's go ahead and back out. So now that we're working towards this NuclearCraft, let's head back up. And let's just take a look at this again. So this is the main part, right? We need one of those. One of those. We need 2 of these furnaces, which are going to require some basic plating, which we can actually auto-craft basic plating. There we go. And that should craft up soon. Because that's something that actually requires a lot of prerequisites in order for it to be crafted. So that's something we have to have set to autocraft. That saves so much headache. You don't even know. That saves so much time. And then we need the advanced plating, which was 4 of those. Perfect. All right, and we should be able to make a fusion controller. So it says hold shift, build a multi-block reactor using reactor casings, reactor cells, coolers, and moderator blocks. It says place the controller along the edge at a corner within one of the faces of the structure. Okay, so this kind of tells us exactly what we need. We are going to need reactor casings, right? It tells you right there. Reactor cells. So that's another thing we're going to need. Reactor cells is just tough alloy. Let's go ahead and craft let's say 40 tough alloy for right now. That's going to have to run through that process that we set up a few episodes ago. So if you didn't catch that and you're wondering how all this auto crafting is happening, you need to go back and check that, because that's how we're producing this. And like I said, this is going to be coming in handy because you do not want to have to do this manually. So there we go. That is our reactor cells. And then it also says we are going to need coolers and moderator blocks. And I think you can just type cooler if I search up here. So you have cooler blocks and then you have moderator blocks, which would be graphite blocks, beryllium, and then molten salt reactor moderator housing. I don't think this one's one of it, is it? Increases the efficiency of adjacent vessels. So that's probably more advanced stuff. Right now, I'm going to work on as simple as I can understand so I can wrap my head around it so I can explain it better to you guys. That's kind of what I'm working with here. Because I don't, like I said, I'm fairly new to this. I have very little knowledge of how NuclearCraft works, so I want to learn it along with you guys. And so I know I need to make a fusion controller, and I'm glad that there's tooltips here to kind of help explain it to us, because otherwise I would be lost. So I'm going to grab a couple of the fusion reactor cells. There we go. And we're going to set up a design. Now, there is a wiki for this that does kind of show you a basic design to kind of go with. But I kind of want to also talk to you guys about how the actual cooling system works. All right, so now that we have that, let's take a look at the NuclearCraft coolers. So we have, we're going to need graphite, right? That's the easiest thing for us to make right here is these graphite blocks. We're going to need graphite dust turned into ingots, actually. That I don't have automated, so when it comes to graphite, we're going to have to make some of it. Let's go ahead and get some graphite made. And that's going to be a pretty slow process. So now that we have our graphite done, let's go ahead and actually throw that in here. Now, I don't like traveling back and forth because I do want to get these things set up to be fully automated, but for right now, we're just jumping back and forth. This is going to need an energized smelter, or actually any furnace can cook this up. But for right now, we already have an energized smelter that is ready to go. You know, I just noticed these are not set to auto sort. Or at least that one wasn't. Let's set those to auto sort. Those need to be auto sorted. So there we go. Graphite dust ready to go. We'll back out and then we'll hop back in. And that should get us our graphite blocks. So I keep forgetting I have a portal right here. Always forget that. So graphite blocks ready to go. That will give us a couple of graphite blocks here. We are of course going to need a few of them to go along with everything else that we're working with. There we go. And we need some cooler blocks. Now the cooler blocks are what we're going to have to kind of experiment with. This is where things are going to get a little bit complicated as we try to figure out what we need to help cool this thing. Because when we start feeding this thing with fuel, it's going to start needing a certain amount of cooling, right? So let's go ahead and go down here and let's actually just build a reactor temporarily. I don't know why I went up that. Build a reactor over here. So we can go ahead and actually place this down, right? We can place that down. We notice it says no fuel, no cells, nothing like that, nothing fancy. What I'm going to go ahead and do is build a little room. And this is actually going to be a pretty small reactor. Right? So we're going to have these walls. I might have to make more reactor casings. Actually, I know I'm going to need more. Go ahead and just craft more. Going to take some time, but it'll get done while we're working on this. And yeah, we're just going to have to build this up. So let's keep building this till we get it to about where we probably want. If you've ever played around with big reactors, you might be familiar with how this is going to work. Now, right now, it says there's nothing in here. It says there is no heat level or anything like that, no cooling rate. What I would actually like to do as well is probably get some glass so we can kind of see in here. Let's see, there is the fusion reactor glass that we can get that I would kind of like to have. I'll take that. So we'll get some of that made up. There we go. So some transparent blocks there. Was that tough alloy that needs to be made? Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and get that. I think I'll throw in a couple of transparent blocks just so we can see in. And then this actually needs to go all the way up to the top. Perfect. So right now, this thing is empty, right? It has nothing going for it. But if we take these reactor cells, right, and we put a reactor cell here and here, and then we put a moderator block in between, and then close this up. Oop, wrong type of block, by the way. We need this. Things should start changing eventually. Right now we don't have any fuel in here. It just says casing incomplete. What does that mean? Does that mean I did this wrong? Let's read this. So it says at the corner or within one of the faces of the structures. So maybe this has to go here. And this has to go here. Because it says casing incomplete. So I just about forgot one of the big pieces that we're actually going to need to surround this thing around. And that is to take this and make some, I guess we need to make more plating. Let's do 40. We actually need to surround the outside with some blast-proof blocks, which we have right here, the blast block. Now, as of right now, we don't have that much of it. We have 16. I'm going to go ahead and let more generate while we go ahead and complete this. But you can see right here, we have a 3x3, but I want this, all the corners to be this blast resistant block. And this might actually be kind of a little overkill right here, but got to get this part done. Perfect. All right. So everywhere else we kind of messed up, we can kind of fill back in. Perfect. Now, like I said, this stuff can get really complicated really quick if you're not like paying attention. This mod can just, you know, completely get overwhelming. We haven't even started making the fuel for this yet. So just keep that in mind as well. Like we haven't even made the fuel for this. Let's see. We need more of the blast. Blast block. I think that should be enough. 40. That should be plenty. Because there's a whole other process we have to go, and that is towards making our fuel that we're going to use for this. There we go. There is our blast block. I think that is where it needs to be. Still says casing incomplete, so we need to change out these two blocks, which I forgot. There we go. So here we have a 3x3 fission reactor. And this is now a complete block. So we can see right here, it doesn't actually have the fuel that we have that we're going to be using yet, but you can see it tells us how many cells we have. And that is the 2 cells that are in here. Now, I want to have more cells. I'm going to be using the reference guide that you can find when you just search NuclearCraft Wiki. So the reference guide kind of has this sort of thing going on inside. And then when we close this up, we can still see that now it should recognize we have 8 cells, 3 by 3. And you can see right here, the heat multiplier is 366%. We need to basically take this 366% and we need to cover that. And to do that, we're going to have to start using some blocks. But we also need to base this off the fuel that we are going to be using. And we actually need to start producing that fuel. So to do that, we need to start making the uranium, or taking our uranium and processing it in an isotope separator. So this is the isotope separator. Let's go ahead and make that thing, because we're actually going to need that going while we wait. So isotope separator. Let's go ahead and take that. Where is it at? Actually, I might have clicked the wrong one. Let's find this one. There we go. There we go, isotope separator. All right, so this is actually pretty simple to make. There we go, and we should have everything. Oh, we're gonna need the basic plates. Let's go ahead and get those made. I'm just so happy we have this auto crafting, because otherwise we would really be struggling right now to get through this mod without this process. So there's the isotope separator. All right, let's go ahead and get a point. One that's probably already configured. That would be nice. We'll get a hopper. 2 hoppers to be exact. And we can set up sort of a easy, simple automation setup over here for this. One on top, one on the bottom. Give this bad boy some power. And that should start working. And we're going to fill this thing with some speed upgrades very, very soon. Okay, so to fill this thing, we need to use the uranium. And we can actually use uranium dust for this. And we just throw that in there. So this is going to take a little bit of time to do this. We should probably get some upgrades. We're going to need both upgrades. Might as well do that. I'll do 16 of these. And then 16 of the other ones. Those require gold. I think 16 will be fast enough. Oh yeah, we don't have any of that. I'm just going to head back down here then. I'm going to steal some upgrades. These have 32 apiece. I'm just going to take those. You know what? Just for the sake of speed, I'm going to take all of them. We're going to max upgrade that thing. Put 64 stacks of upgrades in this bad boy. So let's do 64 energy and that, and there we go. So we should be generating the tiny clumps of uranium and the uranium-238. So we're going to need both of these to make a particular type of fuel. So the tiny clumps and this uranium is what we're going to be using. I want to take the tiny clumps and turn that into uranium-235. Uranium-235 is going to have its uses. If we take a look, you can see we can make LEU-235 fuel. And all it requires is its base and the 238, which we can easily make. So here we go. We take this and 238, and that gets us an LEU fuel. By default, this produces 120 RF on its base power. That may not sound like enough, or may not sound like a lot, but let's go ahead and take this down here. And I don't know if I should put it in here or not. So yeah, we have that in there, and we're generating that same amount of heat. And it tells us the power generation RF per tick, which is 2,240 RF a tick. Now, as of right now, I don't think it's running. I think we need to give this thing a lever, I believe, to turn it on. But with it in there, we do know that we need to get that heat multiplier down for sure. And the only way to do that is to make those casings that we were talking about. So let's take a look in here and let's figure out what we need to do. So for NuclearCraft, we have the resources to be able to make some nicer cooling units. So why not do that? We have we have emerald, we have iron. Let's see what, so emerald does a pretty good job. That is 160. Must touch at least one active moderator block and one reactor cell. So we could probably switch up and come up with some designs that fit around this emerald cooler. To do that, so it must touch at least one active moderator block and one reactor cell. So we can maybe use these in a different way. So that's pretty high. That's 40. Must touch exactly one valid redstone cooler. The glowstone, touch at least 2 active moderator blocks. Oh, so we could probably do this one pretty well. So let's go ahead and take this empty cooler and I guess make it. Grab a couple of them. And then we're going to grab a couple being this. Now this says it must touch at least 2 active moderators, which means we can put 4 of these in there. And that should help reduce the heating. I do want to see what that is like though. So let's go ahead and break in here. And when it says active moderators, this is a moderator. The graphite block is a moderator, which means if I wanted to connect to 2, we must place it here. Right? So if I do this and then close it up, what do we have now? So the cooling is negative 420 H. So I think our net heat gen is at 946. So I believe we need to drop that down to at least below the 946 to make this thing not heat up, right? And it is going to produce 2000 RF tick, which is not bad. Not bad for this little bitty thing. As given that we give it the fuel. And it doesn't actually consume fuel very fast, I don't believe. So now that we have that, we need to kind of look at something else. So this much must touch at least 1 reactor cell and 1 reactor casing. So this is doable. Lapis coolers are totally doable then, if it can do that. So we need a couple lapis blocks, right? I do believe I have all of that auto-craftable. That's an actual craft. So we have NuclearCraft. If this is what it says, we should be able to do 4 more of these in here. And these can actually go on the bottom. So these should be able to go down here. These are touching 1 reactor casing, and they're also going to touch that. So that should bring our active to, wow. So our net heat gen just dropped a lot. I guess we gotta keep bringing our net heat gen down even further. To do that, I guess we have a little bit more room to go with. We can do more lapis here, or see if maybe, I don't think we can do emerald. I don't think emerald will fit in here. But we need to see what else we can possibly get in here, maybe. So at this point, with those final lapis going in the top in the same pattern, let's go ahead and take this apart so we can see what is going on here. So all we have is lapis, lapis, and glowstone in here, and this is actually producing a negative amount. If we take a look here, you'll see that the net heat gen is at negative 13, and the cooling rate is, keeping this thing negative, which should mean that when we turn this on and it generates power, I think it requires a lever, if I remember correctly. Once we turn this on, it should generate heat, or shouldn't generate any heat. So you see that the energy is being produced, but the actual heat here is not. That is perfect. So that means it is working like it should. And I believe I can shut this off at any moment. And I don't think it continues to consume fuel. But this thing is producing 2,000 RF a tick, guys. So, to think about this, that's not too hard to produce, right? We have tons of this fuel now. Let's pull this out. That has been produced just from our pigs, and I think we should make more of them. Just with, I mean, how easy this was to set up. Let's go ahead and take our tiny clumps, pull that out. I mean, that's going to get us quite a bit of fuel here. Go ahead and set this out. That in here. There we go. That is 12 fuel for this bad boy. And this, I guess we can just hook a plug up to. So let's grab a plug. I think we're going to have to make a plug. Get a plug. And that plug is going to allow us... yikes. We're going to have to make more of that, right? There we go. That plug is going to allow us to pull power out. I need to get some automation set up for that, so that way we can get some massive storage going on. The only way we can pull power out of this right now is, I guess, from here and hooking that up. And if I turn that on, that should be putting power into the system, I do believe. That is a lot. So fuel remaining 7 minutes. Wow. So now that we got that power and everything all set up, and we got all kinds of power coming in now, yeah, it's time to start the Parabox. So if I turn this thing on, because boy, that is super nice, and I activate the Parabox, oh boy. What's to be expected? Well, we can now duplicate this machine and its contents. Yeah, if that wasn't crazy overpowered, I don't know what is, but we're able to make multiples of these, and I think we can fit quite a few of them inside of a giant cube, compact machine, and thus pull power. I believe we can pull power directly from this. Yeah, this is going to be insane. So yeah, that should be putting power, I think. That will keep this thing powered. I'm not... Is that how you pull power out of it? I actually don't know how to get the power out. It shows it's connected. It shows the plug is connected. It's not showing that it's inputting. It's input. Oh, it's because we don't have a plug in here. Huh. So if we did if we remove this from here, because that would create some sort of loop, right? At least I think so. Let's get a point. And we hook the point up to here. I know this is temporary, but that's still not filling. Even though it should be pulling from this. So this is pulling. Okay. So that is pulling, which means it must be going in there. Okay. Perfect. So we're producing 2.2. And that's exactly what we should see. Awesome. Which means we can keep this thing running even longer now that we have all of this power going into it. And look at that. Look how much we could leave this running all night long. I could leave this running forever. Unlock all the prestige points that we can unlock in this pack, and pretty much be in non-prestige mode. So yeah, we have a lot of prestige points to unlock because we have a lot of cool, fun things to try out that we haven't even got into yet. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's intro to NuclearCraft. Of course, there are much larger ones than these that can support a lot more fuel types than this. But since all of these are made from renewable resources, this is one of the easier ones to make. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also give this video, guys, a huge smack on that thumbs up button. I really do appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.